Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make this sound. It's not really too bad. You might, if you've never really worked with Neuro sounds before, then this might scare you, but it's not really that bad at all. So, starting off with the original patch with no effects or anything, it sounds like this. So this is just Harmor. It's pretty simple actually. Starting with the most important parts of it and then just working down. This is saw, what's on the saw waveform, and then I have it detuned here, and that actually makes it square pretty much, and I've detuned a little bit more just to make it sound like a Reese. Well, it is a Reese. Anyways, then I have unison turned on here on order 2. I have it pitched up a bit. Phase is moved a little bit higher than normal. And then harmonic using pitch you can get here by clicking here and going over here. I have that put down a little bit just so it adds movement. It's not really doing too much. After this, I have it going through a band pass and a band stop. If you don't know what those are, you'll actually end up seeing this later visually. So this filter 1, this filter 2, and I'm automating the frequency and the width for both of these. As you can see there, and that's what's creating that really resonant movement. And you're probably wondering, if you know what those do, why there's bass, and that's because I have harmonic protection turned on here, and that actually keeps the first couple of harmonics intact. So if I had this all the way up, it would sound a lot more full. But I didn't want that. I just wanted a little bit of these bottom ones. If that wasn't there at all, there would be pretty much no bass. So I have it turned up a little bit. And after those, it's going over here, and it's being distorted a lot. Because if it wasn't being distorted, it's just extremely quiet. So I'm just using ribbon for this. I have the filter all the way up, and it's, as you can tell, this is the amount. That's a lot of distortion happening right there. And there's nothing else happening here, like at all. I didn't change anything besides those. So now for the effects. And that sounds like this. Getting into this patcher, just going over what's here and then going into the details. We have a chorus distortion stack right here. So, I mean, some people just call it CD stacks, but it's just chorus distortion. I have 2 of those, one here and one later on. This is parallel filtering. I have a band pass and a band stop, or also known as a notch. That's what the N stands for. Just showing what they actually look like. This is a band pass and this is band stop. You can see band pass only focuses around a certain area, and band stop takes away. It stops frequencies from coming through at wherever it is. Wherever the band is. So, moving on. Compression, chorus distortion. This one is just another band stop or notch, whatever you want to call it. More compression, then it's going out. So getting into the details, it says a low delay, no movement at all. Self-O is completely off. The depth is definitely a lot lower than normally it was. A little bit of movement, absolutely no stereo, and we're automating the cross cutoff. Then I have the distortion turned up. This is it by default, by the way. So it's a fair amount of distortion right there. Then it's going into the parallel filtering. It's called parallel filtering because they're being filtered in parallel, as you could probably guess. And the way I did this is I automated this one, and then I clicked here, link to controller, and they're both being automated by the same automation clip. So they're being automated completely together. And then these are called fruity balances. This is panning and this is volume, and I'm literally automating the volume between them, so it's switching from bandpass to notch, and that's what these two clips right here are. You can see that they're pretty much, for the most part, opposite, except for that little bit right there. And moving on. Compression, this is actually default Maximus, so we don't need to worry about it. For this chorus, it's pretty much the same. There's a little bit of movement here. It's slightly different, but for the most part the same. You don't want it to be exactly the same, but you want it to be around there, unless that's what you're going for. I'm also automating cross cutoff here. Sort of lighter distortion, then more multiband compression. That one is near default, if not default, I don't really remember. This is another notch, being automated in a different way than these. It's not linked to those at all. In this one, I'm boosting the lows because they kind of disappeared. So that brings them back. And then after this, I put an Edison on there and I recorded it. And that's what these clips over here are. If you're wondering why it looks like that, just because I changed the settings in there. There's a bunch of different color schemes for it. If you want to see the automation, right here, you can just pause the video. Moving on. What I did here is I took the sample, put it over here, and I made it unique, and then I clicked on here and I reversed it. So now it's playing through forward and then it's being reversed. And I have both of those linked to a mixer track, and there's reverb on it. This is pretty much default, but I turned down the decay. The dry signal is all the way up, and I'm automating the wet signal, and it's a little bit on the stereo side. And after that, here's a limiter. Just because without it, it'll clip horribly. As you can see right there. After that, I sampled it. This is literally that sample. And from there, I granulized it. This is actually the final step. The only things we're automating here, as you can see from those, so grain spacing, wave spacing, and the panning. I have the attack and the hold down. Just going over what these do. The panning, it alternates the panning like between each grain, so it'll switch off. Or if this is all the way on and I play it, it'll switch from left to right, like all the way. Might be a little bit clearer there. Maybe not. Anyways, that's what that does. Wave spacing and grain spacing, just going over the textures that they create. When the wave spacing is lower, it creates this really high-pitched, sort of speeding up kind of sound. Oh, of course it's doing that. Give me a second. Oh, this was all the way up. My bad. So right here, you can see that it sounds like it's speeding up, I guess, but it gets a lot higher in pitch. Speeding up's actually because of this one. This, if it's up here, it gets really slow. If it's down here, it speeds up. It sounds pretty cool, but you can't do it too much because if I just did this a lot, then the sample would be insanely short. Yeah, it just kind of went through it, the whole thing. So you don't want to do it too much unless you're just going to loop it, or do that and sample it and then keep doing that for a bunch of different samples, but I don't really feel like doing that. The panning is just coming on occasionally here, just whenever I felt like it. I just had this long note because I didn't know when it was actually going to end. It actually ends right about here if I played through it. So I'll just show the sample because it's the same exact thing. Yeah, it ends right there. And that's actually it completely. There's nothing on there, besides compressor and Edison, it was actually pretty quiet. So I just compressed it. I don't really want to use Maximus because, well, it just, I don't know, I just didn't really like the way it sounded and I didn't feel like messing with it, so I just used basic Fruity compressor. And I sampled that. I always sample it twice because delay, because of the compression, so I always take this second one because there's no delay, as you can see. And that's it. Completely. If you have any questions, just ask.